I wanted to just get your thoughts on just sort of the conditions in the real estate market broadly right now. If we look at today real estate compared to, arguably the peak of 2021, REITs are down anywhere from 50 to 40, 50%, depending on what sector. Values are down anywhere from 50 to 40% if you're on the life science or office side, probably down in the farther end there. Meanwhile, the S&P is up 36%. So on a relative basis, real estate is massively underperformed. Uh, Over the last couple of years, we kept hearing about, maturity wall and how that's growing. And I will be the first to admit that I would have expected to have seen a lot more distress play out to this point, a lot more special situations, opportunities in that regard. But I found, and I think a lot of my peers have found, that we just really haven't seen that much distressed opportunities, if you will. The 3-year floating rate loans that have already matured that we expected to be non-performing loan opportunities, we just haven't seen them. Why is that in your view? And do you agree with that?
So there's clearly some stress in the market. I think the thing, John, to it is that many people who have been around at least through the pandemic, but also through the GFC, sort of view crisis as these absolutely cataclysmic events, the pandemic, the GFC, and sort of view that as their pain meter, if you will. There's been plenty of distress over the past couple of years. Go talk to a office building owner in Denver, Colorado, who had a tower in downtown Denver that was worth $100 million in 2017 and is now worth 20. It's pain. I mean, they've lost massive value. So there's plenty of distress. What we're not seeing is the distress goes into the banking system, banks fail, et cetera, right? So, but I mean, think about it. When you had the run on Silicon Valley Bank that bled into Pacific, or was it PacWest? Yeah, it was PacWest Bank that was then acquired by Bank of California. Um, that was that almost became a run on the banks. That could have turned into a massive contagion throughout the banking system. We were really lucky that the banking system got shored up there and we didn't have that run. But that was a pretty strong test of the banking system there. You have, lots of redemptions going on right now in the private credit space. That's, that could have the derivative effects of redemptions in private credit. I think will be that a lot of the capital that goes to some of the high growth companies is going to pull back. Software companies is one that a lot of people are kind of stressing as it relates to AI and the impact on the software companies. If you get big defaults in private credit portfolios, that will have a big impact on a lot of the capital that's going to these high growth companies. I think commercial real estate is a net beneficiary of that because the people who are in those private credit funds need the yield that they're getting from the private credit funds, and by de facto would move over to something like commercial real estate. But I think what's really different today is that from spending a ton of time with our clients, nobody's having fun right now. And I mean that. And everybody here who's an alum who's in the business is sitting there. I just heard that. They don't like, yeah, it's not a lot of fun. And I think there's also, I met with a client yesterday who sat there and said, God, I'm just not having fun. And I asked him, I said, but are you doing what you want to do? And he said, oh yeah, 100%. I said, are you in the industry you want to be in? He said, 100%. I said, do you control everything in your company? He said, 100%. I said, then what are you complaining about? Like, you're living your dream. Yeah, it comes with ups and downs, but this is what you designed. This is your fund. You built it. And while your returns might not be what you had designed them to be, or your own personal net worth might not be at the level that you wanted it to be by 2026, you're doing what you want to do. And I think, it's sort of to the students who are thinking about this brave new world of graduating from Chapman and going out into a lot of people aren't getting the job offers that they thought they were going to get. Unfortunately, it's like, so what are you going to do about it? Complaining about it isn't going to get it any better. You got to figure out about what are the tools that you have that are going to allow you to get a job that allows you to learn and grow and then earn. And so the consulting job with McKinsey might not be there. What are you going to do? The